swimming, trying to get ahead, but my mind is set on my fate. A fucking mess and I can't see it how it used to be. Like everybody either needing or they using me. I press a liquid through my liver, Marty told me to. I swallow quick and hope I'm sick before I...
Lester Chan, as a person, is an animator based in Sydney. I studied a Bachelor of Design in animation at the University of Technology, Sydney. I picked animation as a career a little bit later. So like when I got straight out of high school, I actually went into UTS first to study interior architecture, but I just realized I really wasn't good at drawing straight lines. And then animation sort of like was another thing that was done in a space really close to that. And so I kind of did pick animation on a whim, and it just looked a lot more fun and looked way less like rulers and stuff. So I think I'm lucky because I found a job that I really like. At the moment, a day in my life as a freelancer, I try to get up at 9, but realistically I get up at 12. By the time I get to work, it's like 1, or if I get to work at 12, I get lunch at 1. So work properly starts maybe at 2. And I've got my setup at the office right now, so I don't have to do too much setup. So maybe like 2:30, I begin work. If I've got a project on that day, I'll usually work till 11 or 12. But if there's a tight deadline, I'll be working till like 1 or 2 or like overnight. The animation process depends really on who you are. So if you're working at a studio, you'd have storyboarders, you'd have scriptwriters, and I think they usually work in tandem. And at a studio, you'd have rough animators who draw up rough versions of the animation, and then in-betweeners to fill in the in-between bits. And then you'll have cleanup artists to clean up the line, and colorists to get everything colored, and people to do comp. But for me, because I'm a freelancer and I'm doing most of the stuff myself, so I go straight into animation and I start designing in Photoshop or something before I start animating in the same program. I usually animate on Adobe Animate. I animate on Photoshop as well, and I also like do designs on there. I do sound in Audition. I comp most of my stuff in After Effects. I know I should be using Premiere. I also use TV Paint and Toon Boom sometimes, and those are just animation programs. How long it takes for an animation usually depends on the idea I'm doing. So like I did some ideas that were like stop motion, and those end up taking 1.5 months. But then if it's 2D animation and I don't count all the procrastinating, maybe like 2-3 weeks. My characters are usually based on something in real life. I'm not really good at designing characters from thin air. I think a lot of people at uni were really good at doing that, and I think I just realized I like don't have that ability. So I think like a few years ago I just started doing caricatures of like political characters. I'd take a lot of inspiration from like existing stories, a lot of pop culture. I think like using really kitschy iconography, and it makes your job a lot simpler. You can have the character not move as much and it'll still be recognizable. A recent project that I've worked on was a YouTube series. It's for a YouTube series that just came out called Eat Out America, and they did an episode featuring Lil Dicky. We did some animations for that. They're interviewing Lil Dicky, and they're talking about like how he used to make prison fifis when he was a kid, which is like little sex toy. And I think he's in like high school or primary school, and he was just describing him fucking it. And then we're just animating that. I think a lot of them are from the shower. I think that's where a lot of people get their ideas. Sometimes when I'm pissing, I don't know, a lot of stuff in the toilet, definitely. A lot of stuff right before bed. Then I end up staying an extra hour writing down ideas instead of like sleeping. As a freelancer, I'm still pretty like early days, I reckon. So I don't really know like too much about it. But the main difference for me is just I've got creative freedom to do stuff in my style. You're freelancing, you're doing a lot more personal work just to bolster. I remember when I was working at Flying Bark, I was like trying to do this crazy thing of doing personal work, doing Flying Bark, and then working in another project at night. And it was just like so draining. And it was like, I think if I didn't do that stuff alongside being at the studio, I would have felt all right. But I think freelancing just fits me because it lets me do multiple things at once. Because I've been wanting to work on a short film for a while. So I'm seeing this as maybe a chance to get a short film done. So maybe like that's my goal for this year, is to get a short film out. I don't know, like 5 years time is like insane to me. I'm hoping I'll be working in either like London or New York. I don't know if that'll actually happen. I need to like commit, but I definitely want to work in another city. I think if you're someone in high school or something and you want to do animation, just keep drawing. And also, like, animation's not as difficult as you think it is. Like, a lot of people ask, oh, what program do you use? Like, which program should I learn if I want to get into the industry? The programs don't matter as much as just, like, the techniques you learn. I can't say there's not really bad animation, but, like, everyone should just give it a go, because if you lean into your style and you're not too self-conscious, then, like, you end up having something nice most of the times anyway. So you sort of just have to go at it. Yeah.